Yo, they say my sisters are self-centered. Now I'm doing my video because normally I'm out and about and I'm normally at the park, but the boy got injured and so I got to rest a little bit on a recliner right now. And you may hear a little bit of the washer or the dryer in the background. But anyway, let's get to this video. They say my sisters are self-centered. Now, again, we're always talking about that this comes down to really a personality trait. There's a lot of people out here that are self-centered. And again, until you experience my sisters, you know, it's the same thing. I'm going to sound like a broken record over and over again. It's individual circumstances of who you come in contact with that you're going to experience those things with. You got a whole bunch of people that are going to be self-centered. They're going to be into themselves. They're not going to care much about other folks. They're going to make sure that you cater to them. That happens a lot of times. So here, I'm going to give you a little experience, a little bit of my experience dealing with a sister. I've always dealt with my sister, so it's not like it's a single situation. I've only dealt with my sisters. But here's just a little sample of how my sisters aren't self-centered. My son's mother, my ex-wife, I learned two things from her. I learned some other things, but I'm going to point two things out that I learned from her. This is all about being self-centered, right? Now, before she became my wife, when we were dating, the economical aspect, the finances aspect of understanding how to balance your checkbook, I learned from her. She's the one who taught me how to balance a checkbook. Now, y'all folks don't do that stuff anymore these days. Nobody does any real balance. I don't want to say nobody, but some folks still do balance in their checkbooks. But at the time, during the time I was coming up, balancing a checkbook was the thing that you normally would do. And she helped me to be able to understand what you needed to pay attention to, how you needed to pay attention to things, how you needed to prioritize, what you needed to make certain of the amounts of money that you had to have in your account to cover other purchases. Completely going through the whole entire formatting of balancing your checkbook. I learned that from her. From her. Now, this is supposed to be my sisters being self-centered, right? If she was self-centered, she would have never sat up here and took any time out to try to teach me how to be able to manage my finances when it came down to my checking accounts. She would have never did that. But she did, right? Second example, being self-centered. I remember one day I was going to purchase a brand new Mustang, and it was a manual stick shift. Never knew how to drive a manual, ever. I just bought the car because I was like, you know what? I got to have that particular vehicle. I don't care. I've always been that type of person who buys what I want to buy. I don't care if I got to learn it. I just got to learn it. You know who knew how to drive a manual vehicle? My son's mother, my ex-wife. She knew how to drive a manual. So what she did was she drove with me up to the dealership. She got in the car and we drove it with me as a passenger, and we're driving down the street, and then she says, all right, I need you to switch seats with me and to get in the driver's seat, and I'm going to show you how to drive manual. And we swapped seats out there, brand new car, and I'm up there shifting it, nearly burning out the clutch, doing all kind of yoking back and forth and all this other stuff. But she was teaching me that. She was teaching me that in real time of how to drive my car. You talk about being self-centered. This is what I'm talking about when I say that these goofballs who are on these podcasts and on social media that got all this type of vitriol for my sisters have no clue. And I'm one of millions of brothers who can sit up here and tell you about the different stories of things that we had experiences with our sisters that weren't all these things that you are given a stigma to, that you're stereotyping. Just because you have some bad interactions or you have some bad experiences, and no relationship is ever perfect, because no relationship was perfect with my son's mother, my ex-wife. Nothing was perfect in that. And yes, we're not together. And yes, we had our downs. We had a lot of different things that occurred. But I don't sit up there and spew out that my whole relationship was negative. My whole experience was negative. I just told you two things. That's just two things. There's several other things that I've experienced that this young lady was not self-centered about. That she did a lot of things for me to help me grow, to build me up in my relationship. But what you hear out there is totally different. If you look at the sisters, everybody's got something bad to say about sisters. Everybody is trying to say that the experience has been this. And a lot of times, it's not their experience. It is what they hear. All the way down the chain. The third, the fourth, fifth experience. Somebody else's story they're hearing. And then all of a sudden they adopt it as that is the manual. That's the blueprint. That is the law. That's what you sit up there and you adopt and you spew that dumb stuff. I just spoke on my other man's channel, the channel that I have that talks to the men, about don't come to me about what you never experienced. Don't spew whatever you're hearing that other folks are talking about if you never experienced it. Because it's like a paranoia. It's that thing, which the word I couldn't figure out even on the other video that I put out. It's like a paranoia where somebody else has a disease, and then all of a sudden, because you have some symptoms of that particular disease, you think you have it. Without no confirmation, without no diagnosis from the doctor, you believe that all of a sudden that's what you have. That's exactly the same exact nonsense that's going on out here. When it comes down to my sisters, you are spewing nonsense that you heard. You've never experienced it before. You've never went through it before. You don't even talk to my sisters. So how the hell are you coming up with some nonsense about the fact that they are this way? You don't even experience our sisters. There's some goofball said some message on one of my videos about my sisters and their hygiene. And he was stating out stuff like it was facts, like as if there's no other women who don't do certain things with their hair or don't wash their hair every day. What? What woman you know washes their hair every day? And then mention something about the types of food, the food and the diets and stuff like where are you getting this from? Where are you getting this from? I know you're not getting it because of the experience of my sisters. You're getting it because somebody else said something, and that's what's locked into your brain because you have so much disdain for my sisters that it's got to be true. It's got to be right. But you've never experienced that stuff. You've never dated my sisters. For you to ever sit up here and say what you think that they do and how they are. Crazy, yo, it's crazy. That's the problem we have in this society. Nothing has happened to you personally, but somehow you are reciting stuff that happened to other folks. That's not valid. That ain't accurate. That ain't proof. That ain't proof of nothing. It's just trash info that you're getting and you're reciting. You know what I mean? So, like I said, self-centered is trait oriented. There's a lot of people that are self-centered in this world, men and women. A lot of them out there. But I can tell you that stigma is not locked into my sisters. My sisters do so much, and they don't get credit for it. Not even from their men. But I'm sitting here to tell you my experience with my own sister that I was involved with, that, hey, I give credit where it's due. And I got manual cars to this day. And I know how to drive them because I learned it from my sister. I'm going to catch you on the next note. Peace out.